You are listening to the Knightline Sports Network, brought to you by Travis Dever and the Dever team, 386-690-1636.
This is WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580, Orlando's news and talk.
Welcome to Knightline at Night on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Night Nation's only call-in show goes live now.
All right. Hello, Orlando. Hello, Night Nation. We're live from the Dever Team Studios, brought to you by Chad Barlaw, assisting injured veterans get the help they deserve. Give Chad a call, 407-599-9036, or visit protectingvets.com. You can call Travis Dever for all your new Smyrna Beach real estate needs, 386-690-1636. And if you need a new or used car, truck, or Jeep, you can call me, Andrew Phegley, 386-736-3000, 386-736-3000, or you can visit me at DeLand Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram. This is Knightline at Night. We're talking UCF sports. I got my guys, Big Ben Stout at Big Social 32 on Twitter and Roger Phipps at Night Bengal on Twitter with me. And you can find all the rest of our content on NightlineSports.com. This is Knightline at Night again. Guys, big news with softball today. The champions of the American, the UCF Knights.
Yeah, not even just champions, but outright champions after defeating Wichita State 11-5. Gianna Mancha had a much better outing today. She had some tough spots that she got out of. They scored 2 runs early. The first hitter was a home run. So I imagine that was pretty tough for Gianna, but they came back and the bats heated up in the fourth. And we just played a lot of good small ball, a lot of good defense, and pulled out the win. So congratulations to the ladies. They also earned the first round bye and finished the season 44-12 and 16-2 in conference. So congratulations on the win.
Yeah, big time deal for them. Ben, you got anything to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just another great win to cap off a very special season for the ladies. I mean, we got some huge standouts, not only performing this game, but just in general over the season. As Roger mentioned, Gianna Mancha and Jada Cody, just overall, a great way to cap off the season, and looking forward to the next step and see what these ladies do next.
All righty. Well, do we know anything about that? Do we know when the tournament starts or any of that stuff? Roger, you may know.
Yeah, as far as the tournament is concerned, we were actually supposed to host this year's tournament. Unfortunately, with us announcing that we're moving to the Big 12, the AAC actually took away the tournament, and it will be held at ECU this year. And we will have, as I mentioned previously, a first round bye, which is great for the team. It will start May 12th, so Thursday, May 12th. It'll come from Greenville. It will be on ESPN Plus. They have not announced the time for the first round, but we won't be playing for it anyway. We will be playing and starting our play in May 13th, Friday, May 13th at 1 or 3:30 p.m. So excited to see how the ladies do. And no matter what, they're going to be playing for they'll be in the NCAA and earn a berth. The question is, will they be able to host? And that's a big deal because we usually get stuck at FSU or UF.
Yeah, and they just were able, with the conclusion of a couple games, like just a few minutes ago, they were able to announce the times for those first round games. So the first game is going to be played against Houston and Tulsa. That's the 4 seed versus the 5 seed. That's 11 a.m. on Thursday, May 12th, as you mentioned. And we will play the winner of that game. So we will play the winner of Houston and Tulsa at 1 p.m. on Friday, May 13th. So we'll keep an eye on that game on Thursday to see who we're going to play on Friday, and hopefully they can continue to move along.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Houston was one of 2 teams that beat us this year and handed us a loss. One of the things that we didn't mention was Woodall, our second pitcher. We have a really potent 1-2 punch. He actually came in today and finished out the last 2 innings because Mancha was starting to tire. But that sets us up really, really well. I'd rather personally play Houston than Tulsa, but we'll see how it shakes out.
Alrighty. Also, some basketball news. We kind of had been talking about this for a while, these transfers coming in. I guess it's now official with these guys. Is that correct, Ben?
That's right. We had 4 transfers announced over this last week. So we've talked about a few of them on this show, in particular Michael Durr, who started out his career at USF, most recently went to Indiana before coming back to the Central Florida area, and he is going to be playing for UCF next season. He's a 7-foot center, a rebounding machine, somebody who's got a big body in there to hopefully provide some really quality minutes for us. I mean, he getting some experience in the Big Ten certainly isn't going to hurt. So that's another addition. Brandon Suggs is another guy that we had mentioned, a tall, lanky guard from ECU that has put up some great games against us. And then we added 2 more relatively newer names to as far as discussions go over the last week. So Lahat Thioun, which I'm pretty sure I messed up his name, but he's a big man originally out of Dakar, Senegal. So it would be our third player from that area originally. But he just came he's spent the last 3 seasons at Utah, and he comes over from that program to us this season. So he's from Utah. He played in 28 games, started 5 of them. That's a program that has some very elite big men. So whether he, played a ton of minutes or not, he was behind some very elite players and got all that experience against those players in practice. And throughout the Pac-12, he has some good big men there as well. So hopefully he'll be somebody who can shine. He's a 6'10", 245-pound player, a forward there. And then most recently, we had a player from Pittsburgh, a guard in Ithiel Horton, who is supposed to be an excellent shooter, somebody coming over who averaged a little over 10 points a game last season for Pittsburgh. So hopefully he's somebody who can come over and provide some help beyond the arc after some of the great shooters just left the program, in particular in Darren Green Jr. So he averaged just about 10 points last season for Pitt, and somebody who averaged nearly 38% from 3-point land last season. So somebody who's known for filling it up from deep, and hopefully he can kind of continue that and kind of improve upon that as he gets into a Knights uniform.
Yeah, sounds good with these guys coming in. We were so worried about everybody leaving that we finally, there's some people that are coming back. So that's kind of exciting.
Yeah, the transfer portal take and giveth away, right? Or, take and gives back, So hopefully these are players that are not only going to be great individual players, but most importantly, as we've discussed in this, with Johnny Dawkins kind of having a lot to prove over a bit of a disappointing season last year, or really disappointing, depend on your perspective of it. One that going into with a lot of players that have turned over from this year's roster, kind of hitting the reset button here, and hopefully these players are not only great individual players, but ones most importantly that will fit into the system very well and thrive kind of under the UCF way of playing ball, which is certainly under Dawkins, one that requires a lot of defensive intensity and certain players that are going to have to find that within themselves and really push that forward. So hopefully these are the types of players that will work out well with that.
Absolutely. Roger, you got anything on this?
Yeah, a couple things. Suggs is an energy guy. He was at ECU and he was constantly constantly an energy guy. And what a lot of these additions bring back to us is rebounds. If you look at most of these guys' numbers, a lot of them are bringing in rebounds. And that's something that hurt us last season was offensive glass. And on top of that, in general, the folks that left, we don't want them to key in on our key players, right? So CJ Walker, those kinds of guys that are rebound machines and blocking machines, we needed some folks to disperse that so that they couldn't key in and double up Walker or somebody else down at the glass. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the energy Suggs brings. And, as far as the Pitt transfer is concerned, ACC is usually the second or third best conference in the country. So he's played against some tough competition. 38% and almost 10 points per game is nothing to sneeze at. He's got a little length at 6'3". So I'm excited we have someone to kick to or that we can depend on to score some points, because we had a lot of folks that left that made up a lot of our scoring for last year. So it'll be exciting to see how they do, and it's good to start to see how this roster is going to shape out for next year.
Seems like a couple of these guys have been to multiple schools already, which, I mean, I don't know. It's you don't see it as much in football, I guess, as you do in basketball. People jump around. I think even more. It's really becoming, right in front of us, where thinking about the transfer portal in football, now we're really kind of, I guess, honing in on it a little bit more in basketball to see it as well. But like Horton has been not only at Pittsburgh but Delaware, I guess, as well. So moved around a couple of times. It's that term journeyman basketball player, college basketball player is like a relatively new term that we have to get used to. You're right. I mean, there's multiple places that these players have stopped at in the past. You just mentioned Ithiel Horton starting out his career in Delaware. Michael Durr obviously started out USF for 3 seasons, went to Indiana and is now coming back to Florida. So I agree with you. It's one of those kind of terms, journeyman basketball player that we have to. How do we root for this Michael Durr guy? Because he was this kind of weirds me out, because he was at the school that we hate the most out of any school. So now he's okay, I guess. That's where he originally went.
The way to look at it is he finally came to his senses, right?
Yes.
Lime green, and he finally came to his senses.
Yeah, I guess.
I will say though, with Michael Durr, and you mentioned the rebounding, Roger, I mean, I remember when Michael Durr was at USF, in particular, like two occasions. Once when he was a freshman, I think he had a great game. He kind of surprised us in that game. I forget exactly the game, but I do remember him being a bright spot. He had a couple of big games, especially rebound on the rebounding front against us in the past. And then certainly just overall his final season at USF, I think he was injured about halfway through that season. And it was a big loss for them. So Michael Durr is somebody that when his name started popping up in transfer portal talks and possibly of him coming to UCF, I knew that, or I started to get a little bit excited about that prospect, just because I knew he was such a big body. He's 7 foot tall. He's 250 pounds. And somebody that we need to replace size on this roster with Mbake Zhang leaving. So certainly I was excited about the prospect of him playing for UCF, and it seems like it's going to come to pass. And I'm hoping he's going to be able to stay healthy and bring a lot of that rebounding and interior intensity that we need.
Now, was Mbake a senior, or did he transfer as well?
Yeah, he was a senior who transferred from UNLV for only 1 season. So we knew we were only going to have him for 1 season. He graduated.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
he's a grad transfer.
Yeah, the grad transfer thing is a little bit easier to swallow, I guess, just because this stuff with the transfer portal is it's out of hand in my
It's hard to follow,
opinion.
right?
It is. And then a couple of weeks ago, we were wondering if we were having a basketball team at all. Like, there was probably at one point 2 people on the roster, so it just, the whole thing is interesting with, football and basketball with these transfer portals. It's changed the way that the whole thing works. So
no doubt.
All right, going to take a break here. We'll be right back on Knightline at Night.
Hey, this is Travis Dever, Kai's Real Estate, the Dever team, New Smyrna Beach. Your source for real estate and everything else, New Smyrna Beach. Proud sponsor of Knightline. Call me anytime at 386-690-1636. That's 386-690-1636. Let me show you my hometown, New Smyrna Beach, UCF's favorite beach. Go Knights and charge on.
An auto accident can change your life forever. At Chad Barr Law, we are raising the bar on what to expect from your personal injury attorney. Hi, I'm Chad Barr, and I want you to know that our entire team is dedicated to providing you with the representation you deserve in your greatest time of need. If you or a loved one have been injured in an auto accident, call 407-599-9036 for a free consultation or visit chadbarlaw.com. At Chad Barr Law, our clients come to us in need and leave as family. Offices, Altamont Springs.
Looking for more out of your Porsche? Look no further than Flat6Motorsports.com. They have the widest selection of aftermarket Porsche parts anywhere in the world. With over 85 product lines and in-depth expertise, Flat6Motorsports.com is your one-stop shop for any Porsche performance needs. Whether you're shopping for intakes, exhausts, suspension, or tuning, they have you covered. Flat6Motorsports.com is the premier Porsche aftermarket specialist. Check them out at Flat6Motorsports.com.
And now, back to Knightline at Night on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Call now at 844-580-9326.
All right, Andrew Phegley back with you here on Knightline at Night. Also got Ben Stout and Roger Phipps live from the Dever Team Studios, brought to you by Chad Barr Law. We're talking UCF sports. We were talking about this NIL thing kind of off the air in between the break there. And in my personal opinion, the NIL thing and the transfer portal are both kind of out of hand. I don't know if you guys share that opinion. It's a little crazy, the amount of money and everything else that's kind of being thrown around out here now in college sports. You know, I probably flip-flopped on the NIL thing a couple of times. It's a good thing. It's a bad thing. It's a good thing. The transfer portal, it's a good thing. It's a bad thing. My mind is still so confused about where everybody's going, where they're coming from, where the money's coming from, the whole deal. So maybe we should talk about that real quick in this short segment. Also, this segment is brought to you by Manscaped. We were talking about that a little bit more last week. I think we took this entire segment to do that, actually. We're not going to do that again, but you can go to manscaped.com and get free shipping if you use the code GOKNIGHTS. And like I said last week, I love their deodorant. I think it's probably the best thing that they have so far in my experience. If you guys want to say something as well, or we can go into the other topic.
Yeah, for me, I've been using the body wash lately, and the body wash has been really, really good. And the smell, as we mentioned last week, is awesome.
Right. Yeah, same here. The all of their trimmers, the accessories are fantastic. You know, they're safe to use, which is the most important thing, especially when you're talking about what they're for. But absolutely, all of the other products, I was very pleasantly surprised about all the other products as well. The body wash, the shampoo and conditioner, as you said, the deodorant. So it's just it's a good, well-rounded company that has some great products for men. And so appreciative of Manscaped not only sponsoring the show, but sending some of their products to try.
Absolutely. And, as their slogan says, your balls will thank you. So that's what it says. That is, I mean, these guys are funny too. That they're funny guys. Their marketing team, maybe some women in there too as well. I'm not leaving anybody out, but their marketing team is just funny stuff. So clever and just funny. I love it. Anyway, back to this. It's hard to make a smooth transition there. I don't know why.
Smooth transition.
You're using the right trimmer.
Exactly.
Smooth and well-rounded transition into a national name, image, and likeness.
There you go.
And we're going in the gutter, folks.
No, it's not the gutter. So name, image, likeness. There's all kinds of stuff going on with that. We pretty much took this entire segment to talk about Manscaped again, though. So maybe next segment we'll get more into that, because I think that there's always discussion to be had on these things. It's one of those. It's just new. I mean, it's so new to college sports and almost like college sports free agency that it seems like, and I know we talk about it on here a lot, but it's such a big difference in college sports. I think that it kind of needs to be talked about. It's one of those things that has just changed everything and the way that we feel about college athletes and college sports. So if anybody wants to throw something in there really quickly.
Well, I'll wait for most of it for next segment, but this week has been chock full of NIL news, and it's a fast moving story because of unintended consequences. I think people are starting to grapple around that. The NCAA sure gets responsibility. So we'll see where it takes us, but it's a fascinating story because it has such a big impact.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben, you got anything?
Yeah, like I said, we'll move into the next segment and really unpack it. But certainly, it's something along with the transfer portal that is very difficult for college sports fans to kind of get used to, because it is so far different than what we have seen
All right,
in the
taking
past.
another break here. We'll be right back on Knightline at Night. If you haven't figured it out yet, I love Tijuana Flats. I would love them even if they weren't a partner with us on the Knightline Sports Network. They have all kinds of great Tex-Mex food, and it's fresh, by the way. Made to order burritos, tacos, enchiladas, chimichangas, quesadillas, bowls, nachos, and taco salads. And if you haven't tried the queso, you are completely missing out. It is the best queso that I've ever had in my life. Absolutely hands down. And the sauce bar that they have, everything from wild to mild in there. Absolutely awesome, awesome stuff. Not only do I love the food at Tijuana Flats, but I love the company, a UCF-born company. And they give back to the community with the Justin Queso Foundation. So head to your local Tijuana Flats. Tex-Mex for everyone. Hey Jeep Wrangler owners, have you ever sat in your office at work and watched the rain just pour into your Jeep because the weatherman said that there was a 0 chance of rain? Or you put your doors back on because there was a 100% chance and then not a drop of rain fell? Well, there's a company out there that can help take the worry away and give you the peace of mind to be without your doors. The company's called Life Without Doors. They make waterproof rain curtains and dash covers for Wranglers. Life Without Doors is there to help make the decision to leave the doors at home an easy one. Find out more at lifewithoutdoors.com.
Spice up your company with homemade marketing services from Tasty Gravy Creative. Tasty Gravy serves up a menu of budget-friendly marketing, graphic design, and public relations services customized to your specific goals. Co-owned by a UCF graduate, Tasty Gravy can help refresh your brand, strengthen your online presence, or reinforce your company's message. Contact Tasty Gravy for help with your website, social media, marketing, advertising materials, and more. Visit tastygravy.com.
And now, back to Knightline at Night on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Call now at 844-580-9326.
All right, back with you on Knightline at Night. I'm Andrew Phegley, live from the Dever Team Studios, brought to you by Chad Barr Law, assisting injured veterans get the help they deserve. Give Chad a call, 407-599-9036, or visit protectingvets.com. You can also call Travis Dever for all your New Smyrna Beach real estate needs, 386-690-1636. And if you need a new or used car, truck, or Jeep, you can call me, Andrew Phegley, at 386-736-3000, 386-736-3000, or you can visit me at DeLand Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram in DeLand, Florida. Got Big Ben Stout here with me today, and Roger Phipps at Night Bengal on Twitter. Ben is at Big Social Stout32 on Twitter. And you can find all the rest of our content on NightlineSports.com. We talked a little bit about softball. Congratulations to the UCF Knights women's softball team that won the American Conference today. And then we were talking a little bit about this transfer portal in basketball and the NIL and all that stuff. I think we're going to continue with the NIL discussion. I kind of we had a short segment there, so we kind of got started talking about it. But it's just me personally, both things have kind of gotten out of hand. Maybe we want to discuss this between ourselves, Roger and Ben. Either one of you want to go first with that? And even in response to my comment that it's gotten out of hand.
Go ahead, Roger.
Roger, hello. Okay, maybe Roger's not here anymore. I guess Ben and I will discuss it then.
Sorry about that. I forgot to unmute.
Okay, live
that
radio.
Being said, on live radio. So, no, what I was going to say was, there was a lot of news this week in NIL. Like I said, it was a fast-moving story. I mean, it's gotten to the point, to your point, Andrew, that we actually had an AD fired. Wichita State's AD was fired this week, and the reason that was given was because he didn't have an NIL program in place. He had come out and said he didn't believe in it, and it actually turns out that they did player interviews for the basketball team. Remember, Wichita State's basketball team had like 7 transfers in the offseason, and they cited the fact that they had no NIL program in place, and it led to the firing of an AD. On top of that, Greg Sankey and George Kliakoff, the SEC and Pac-12 commissioners, have now approached the U.S. Congress to help put some regulation in place for NIL. So it's gotten to the point where Greg Sankey, the conference commissioner for the richest conference, or soon to be richest conference, because I think the Big Ten is the richest conference right now in the land, has said, hey, we need to put some brakes on this and put some caps on this. And a large part of that is coming from the fact that a lot of that money, as a donor, where do you put your money? Do you give that money back to the school so that they can upgrade facilities or do whatever they think is necessary, buy out coaches, whatever? Or do you give it to players? And right now, a large portion of money is going to the players. So, one of the collectives that's out there that will be officially announced and was kind of soft launch this week is for UCF, the Kingdom NIL. They've already got $1 million raised before they've even announced it. So that's when we were talking about large donations, $1 million to UCF as a donor is a huge deal. Now that $1 million is going away from UCF and it's now going directly to players, with 99% of it going to players. That's a huge deal. And it makes a big difference for young programs like ours. So it'll be interesting how all this stuff shakes out.
Ben, you want to go ahead there?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's as we talked about in the break. I mean, it's if you own a business in Orlando, I mean, what is more directly going to affect your ROI if you're looking for an endorsement, or if you're looking to invest in something from a marketing standpoint? Is it going to be a donation to UCF athletics, where you might, have a name on a brick outside of the stadium, or, get a mention on their Twitter page and have some good press there? Or is it going to be a big time even to the local area of Orlando, at UCF, an athlete endorsing your business or endorsing your products? I mean, the ROI there is even more so. And then it even goes back to the boosters that Roger just discussed, where you have these groups of people that are boosters of UCF for the most part, where they would get together and be heavily involved in the athletics of UCF and the donations that they would provide directly to the athletics program, saying, let's now get together and create a fund that directly goes to the athletes themselves. So no longer, and they're doing this to try to compete nationally. The same reason why they were doing it before, when they were contributing money to the athletics program to try to keep up with recruiting. They're doing it for the exact same reason why they did it before. It's just that it's being funneled in a vastly different way. to be able to keep up with these other programs around the country that have astronomical NIL funds that are, if you're an offensive lineman at University of Miami or something, you're gonna be guaranteed X amount of money just coming to you, and that may not be accurate to the school, but that certainly happens across the country. If you're just part of a position group on a football team, like, you're guaranteed that you're going to get a certain amount of money just because of these NIL funds, and it's certainly the wild west right now. I'll remind everybody that this essentially came about due to multiple lawsuits against the NCAA and state legislatures making a change that happened very quickly, where the NCAA could not react to it and could not police it properly. And that's what's happened over the course of the last few years with not only COVID and the amount of transfer leniency that the NCAA had to incur because of COVID, the extra year that certain players got or all players got because of COVID. So that's another thing that was a disruptor. And then, of course, NIL coming right after that. So the transfer portal, the transfer rules, along with the extra year, the COVID year, along with NIL, it's been a very, very wild time over the last 3 seasons in college athletics, and it is very difficult to understand, follow, and keep up with at times. So it's just a completely different mindset that the college fan has to deal with.
Yeah, it's almost like I've compared all of this many times to free agency in the NFL or any other sport that has free agency. There's an article on ESPN.com right now that says why Boston College's star receiver stayed put despite six-figure offers to transfer. That's crazy. I mean, if you think about that, this guy was offered somebody offered him a 6-figure salary or 6 figures of money to transfer.
Well, I mean, look at it this way. There recently in the last week, there was one kid from Miami who got a 7 Series BMW that he's going to have for 4 years as a freshman. There's another kid somewhere else, I don't remember where he was, that got a sponsorship from a Lamborghini dealership, right? And so these are big money things. And then you go back to kind of what we were talking back before, $1 million. The Garvey Nutrition Center only cost us $1.5 million. So you're talking about that money could have been put to something like the Garvey Nutrition Center, and now it's being taken away. And then, the byproduct of that is, unlike the NFL and unlike free agency, the teams in the NFL have control over where the money goes. In NIL, by definition, for it to be legal, the school cannot have any direct connection with these NIL funds. So What does that do to your roster management? Hello,
SMU 1987. I mean, they got the death penalty as far as from the NCAA. They basically, hurt them so bad that they had to, end their programs for a couple of years because all of their players were basically driving Cadillacs from a local Cadillac dealer. That's one of the things, but there was other stuff involved as well. But now, I mean, how do you think about this if you're Southern Methodist University from back in the day? Like, wait a second, everything that they said that we did is now legal.
Like, how do you think about it as Gus Malzahn? I mean, think about it. He came from Auburn, and one of the things he was complaining about was the fact that the boosters were so involved in the roster management, who he played, and who he had available. And you don't think that they're going to be if they're the ones paying the players. Exactly.
Yeah. This is a problem, in my opinion. Ben, I'm sorry, I think I cut you off there.
I was just going to say about the SMU thing. I mean, it wasn't. They certainly got the death penalty, and the reason why it's referred to as the death penalty, especially in hindsight, is because it took them nearly 2 decades to recover from it. I mean, and arguably, they never got back to the status that they had at that time.
They've never come close to that.
Never recovered from it.
Being in the American, maybe if they were to join the Big 12 or something, they would come close. But that Southeast Conference or Southwest Conference was huge. It was basically the SEC back then. It was that all the champions came from there, and it was all the Texas schools. It was a really big deal.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and this is just such a brand new landscape that I think some schools are handling it well. Other schools are kind of, having trouble dealing with. I think UCF kind of falls somewhere in the middle of that, only because, and I only say that is because it's a little bit easier to handle it well when you're alumni base and your booster base, has a ton of money. I mean, we talk about it all the time, is UCF has one of the youngest and fastest growing. So that combination is, good in one aspect, challenging in another, to raise a ton of money at one time. And so it's, it's interesting what you mentioned, Gus and his roster management, but just the overall business management that Terry Mahajer and these other ADs, especially at UCF's, kind of level of alumni base and booster base is just fascinating for everything that they have to deal with, because arguably the largest job of Terry Mahajer and all ADs across the country in college athletics are to raise funds for your sports programs. And this is a wrinkle of competition to those funds that is very difficult to adjust to. Let's put it that way.
It'll be interesting in 5 or 10 years to look back on now and see the damage that all this actually did, or did it help? Did it damage or did it help? I just can't wait actually just to see how this all turns out, because there's got to at least be some rules, because it doesn't seem like there's any rules at this point.
Well, they did say this week too that the NCAA is looking at, and the conferences are behind, doing retro sanctions basically against programs that misused it during this time or didn't follow the rules. So I think we may see some blowback even sooner than that, and especially if Congress gets involved, because in the past the NCAA has stayed away from Congress as much as possible, but now the biggest member schools are going after and asking Congress to step in. So it'll be really, really interesting, I think, in the next year or so to see where that lands. Because if Congress does get involved and there is retro, you'll see some programs that are hurt.
Yeah, I feel like that retro thing is just going to wind up at the end of the day being a giant waste of time and money, because the NCAA got caught, they got caught sleeping where they were not prepared for this level of kind of the wild, wild west that it has been over the last year. And the enforcement has not been able to even become, it's not even close to being able to keep up with that. There's no enforcement at all of any type of rules. And the rules themselves are rather loose to begin with. So I feel like that's what's going to happen. But what we are right when we talk about is that it is going to take about 5 years, and the dust is going to kind of settle, and it's going to be interesting where we wind up. But right now is just a wild time.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's even hard to, I mix both of these things together. I mix the transfer portal and the NIL together, because I think that they feed off of each other, and the minimum rules on one and maybe a little bit tighter rules on the other. But are there any rules in transferring anymore? I don't even know.
Well, there are. The other thing, Andrew, to your point though, is that they're taking away the 25 scholarship yearly limit for the next 2 years.
Yeah. All right. We'll talk more about it maybe on the other side of the break. We'll be right back on Knightline at Night.
I'm Jeff Allen. Join me each and every week on the Knightline Sports Network for the AAC Report. We bring you in-depth coverage of each school in football, basketball, baseball, softball, soccer, golf, tennis, and more, as well as bring you insider interviews and focus in on the biggest games and news of the week. That's all right here each week on the AAC Report, only on the Knightline Sports Network.
And now, back to Knightline at Night on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM 580. Call now at 844-580-9326.
All right, back on Knightline at Night with you. Andrew Phegley here, live from the Dever Team Studios, brought to you by Chad Bar Law. We have come to the time in our show, which is the Tijuana Flats Hot Take of the Week. Welcome to the Tijuana Flats Hot Take of the Week. Visit TijuanaFlats.com for takeout or delivery, or visit your local Tijuana Flats. Tex-Mex for everyone. Oh, I love me some Tijuana Flats. Speaking of, the other day was Cinco de Mayo, and I had to get some tacos on that day, so I've had my Tijuana Flats for the week. It is Sunday, though, so it's coming again very quickly. Tijuana Flats, absolutely awesome. Roger, why don't you start us off with your Tijuana Flats hot take of the week?
All right, just like the red hot softball team and the red hot sauce bar, my Tijuana Flats hot take of the week is that Gianna Mancha will be the American Pitcher of the Year and an All-American this year.
Okay, sounds good. Roger, Ben? Sorry.
Roger?
So in the spirit of the American Outdoor Championship for track and field that is going to occur this weekend, starting on Friday, I am going to not only predict that UCF is going to sweep, meaning that they already won the indoor championship earlier this season, and they're going to win the outdoor championship this coming weekend. So as a team, I believe they're going to win, and I'm going to say at least 4 individual events they will be on the top of the podium, with Renaya Jones obviously being the star of that meet, and also, great other athletes like Ashria Collins and Latasha Smith. I think that we're going to show up as a team and really show out and win another conference championships track and field.
All righty. That sounds good. I'm going to take the easy road on this one. I can do that because this is my show. So I'm going to go with NIL / transfer portal, and how we were talking about it earlier, and how some things could be changing with that soon, or there's going to be some retroactive penalty with something like this. I'm going to say that my prediction is that some big school or some really big player is going to have major trouble because of some kind of violation once they figure it out with all of this. Hopefully it's one of those blue blood schools that we all as UCF fans kind of don't like, that they are found to, have done something really, really stupid and against whatever rules there are. And be kind of taken out of competition at that point. So I can only hope and pray it's like Alabama or something like that. And I know there's some Alabama fans, but I don't really care. So, or USF. I mean, it could be USF or Alabama. If one of those gets taken out, USF isn't good enough at anything though for there to be any violations. So
I don't think they even have an NIL.
Yeah, nobody
they don't even have an NIL program at all.
Nobody's worried about them at all. So, okay. Well, another successful show. We will be back next week, same time, same station. Go Knights.
Charge on.